Being an ordinary person was never the problem. You were told that the reason why you're not where you want to be, why you feel invisible in rooms full of people who seem to have it figured out, is because you simply weren't good enough, talented enough, or even special enough. That you're far from being what you can consider a genius. You're just plain, mediocre, and ordinary. This was not your fault. Your only fault was believing it. But what if being ordinary was never the weakness you were taught to be ashamed of? What if the person who refuses to break is actually the most dangerous person in the room? Not in terms of talent, skills, or innate gift, but simply because they decided not to break. This video talks about the perfect example of being this person. Tanaka Ryunosuke was not a genius, a prodigy, or a generational talent. He was the mediocre one from his team, specializing in nothing. But he still became the most unbreakable thing on the court. I was the brilliant little kid in town, and it was the identity carved for me before I even knew what identity meant. The kid people pointed at, the one teachers commended and praised, and the one that my own family talked about. Being a brilliant child was very reassuring and motivating, but it didn't really last long for me. After literally zooming through primary education, I was the prodigy, bearing all the weight of other people's expectations. Then, secondary school happened. I was in the top class, as I'd always been right from the start. But this time, the top class had people in it who made me realize that everything I thought I was never really that impressive to begin with. I was heavily humbled in high school, thinking that I was more than capable than what I realistically am. This was the first time I started to feel the struggle of being in school. For the first semester in my first year in high school, I ranked at the bottom of my class. My grades were barely passing. I was almost eliminated from being in the top class I thought I naturally belonged in. But that wasn't the worst part of it. What made it worse was that it wasn't just in school. I went home to a family of excellent people, genuinely brilliant, accomplished, respectable, and I was the ordinary one at the table. The one who didn't quite fit the pattern everyone else seemed to follow so naturally. The different one, the weak link, the ordinary one. Being ordinary doesn't mean being weak, but somehow, it felt worse for me. I was living a life made for me to believe that I belonged to the greats, the brilliant, and the best of the best. But reality kept me in check. I felt like an NPC in a game full of main characters. I felt like I was present in every scene, but I contributed nothing that couldn't be replaced by someone else tomorrow. And this feeling was something I carried for a very, very long time. This quiet, suffocating belief that being ordinary meant being invisible, and being invisible meant you didn't really matter. Ryu proved me completely wrong. Baldy was never the best player on Karasuno. He wasn't the genius setter or the shrimp freak with the insane vertical. He was just the loud, scrappy, ordinary number 5, and the show never pretended otherwise. He was only viewed by others as the team's comedic relief, the team clown, and the easygoing second year who just shouts his throat out whenever he gets the opportunity to. But despite all of this, he never really excelled at anything that his other teammates can. He knew how to do and execute things, but he never was the best in any of it. He knew it, his teammates knew it, his opponents knew it, and that's precisely why Atsumu targeted him. In Karasuno's match against Inarizaki at Nationals, the sadistic Atsumu didn't go after Hinata or Kageyama. He went after Tanaka. He aimed at the weakest receiver in Karasuno's lineup. He didn't do this to weaken Tanaka physically, but to break him mentally. He was purely sadistic for this, but he was absolutely right. If he was able to pummel down the core of Karasuno's emotional and mental fortitude, then the rest can be easily pummeled as well. It was purely harsh and somehow unnecessary to some viewers who watch the series. But competitive sports really have these factors to be considered. Because Atsumu understood something most people overlooked, that Tanaka wasn't just a player on that team, he was their emotional foundation. Once he takes him down, Karasuno's whole structure collapses. What happened after Atsumu thought about his sadistic idea became one of the most philosophically precise moments in the entire series, especially for Tanaka's character. Tanaka had the realization during the match. He saw himself clearly, not through denial or false confidence, but with complete honesty and humility. He was the ordinary one, and he knew it. It was real, undeniable, and heartbreaking. But in that moment of total clarity, instead of spiraling, he thought, "I don't have time to look down." That line goes way beyond being just a moment of hype. It wasn't a battle cry. It was his decision. Tanaka understood that being ordinary is not a problem to be solved. It is a truth to be accepted and then weaponized, and realizing this mid-game makes him better than the rest of us. Geniuses wait to be challenged before they rise. Prodigies operate on the assumption that talent will carry them through. But the ordinary soul who has already accepted their limitations has nothing left to protect, no ego to defend, and reputation to maintain. It was just the decision, his decision, made clearly and repeatedly, to refuse to break. His refusal wasn't loudness, bravado, or just faking it to show off. Tanaka's energy was never about hiding his ordinariness. It was about making his ordinariness irrelevant through the sheer force of his mental consistency. He chose his spirit the same way you choose what to wear in the morning. Deliberately. Every single day. This is what makes the ordinary soul capable of fighting on equal footing with the geniuses, the prodigies, and the greats. And this is why people like this are the last thing anyone wants to face. Geniuses can be outworked, prodigies can be outprepared, but the person who has consciously decided that they will not break, there is no strategy that could beat that. There is no counter for someone whose only weapon is that they simply will not stop. There's just no stopping people who are downright unstoppable, and Tanaka is this person. That's how he remains on the court, capable of fighting with the best of the best. In real life, this person exists everywhere. They're in your office, you just don't notice them much. They are not the one with the flashiest presentation, but the one who shows up every single day without needing applause to do it. They're in your classroom, you just don't feel them. They are not the ones with straight A's in their report cards, but the one who keeps going when the semester gets hard while everyone else starts making excuses. They might even be at your dinner table, not the most accomplished one in the room, but the one who never let the gap between them and everyone else become a reason to fold. You probably never notice them, and most people don't as well. That's the point. Believe me when I tell you this. You are not a replaceable cog because you are ordinary. You become replaceable the moment you accept that ordinariness means you have nothing worth protecting. The moment you stop showing up with the full weight of your refusal to fold, you hand that power to someone else. Tanaka did not become the most unbreakable thing on that court because he found something special inside himself. He became unbreakable because he decided that being ordinary was enough of a foundation to build something no opponent could dismantle. That decision is available to you, it has always been. You just have to stop waiting for permission to make it. You've spent so long looking around the room, counting the ways everyone else was built differently than you, that you never stopped to ask what it actually takes to still be standing when the people who were built better have already folded. It's time to reassess yourself. Tanaka never asked for a different set of abilities. He just refused to put down the ones he had. Maybe the only question worth sitting with today is not, why am I so ordinary? But, what would happen if I simply refused to stop showing up? You already know the answer. You just haven't decided yet. This was the baseline of relentlessness by the character, Ryunosuke Tanaka.